15 Hollywood icons whose hidden diaries expose shocking truths after their deaths. What if the dazzling facades of the tales of Hollywood's golden era received one final spotlight? Not through the lens of a camera, but in the personal narratives chronicled within their own private writings. What secret addictions, illicit affairs, or painful vulnerabilities might be revealed within those ink-stained pages? As the lock finally gave way this evening, we turned those delicate pages as one, and were met with a shocking revelation. Secrets these icons kept hidden until their deaths, only to have them come to light after their final performance. What makes the third item on our list especially astonishing is the fact that this cherished star meticulously recorded political actions resulting in exile, left behind a paper trail, ultimately validating the FBI's long-held suspicions. Before we explore Hollywood's best-kept secrets, I'm curious to know your location. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Leave a comment telling us your thoughts, and I'll be sure to read as many as possible following the show. The golden era of Hollywood gave rise to iconic legends. Larger-than-life celebrities whose meticulously cultivated public personas were shielded by influential studios and cunning publicists. And unbreakable agreements. These weren't merely performers. They were commodities crafted for public delectation and safeguarded above all else. Our recent findings reveal that numerous stars exhibited a compulsive nature. Archivists, tucked away in their private sanctuaries, didn't merely lead remarkable lives. They meticulously recorded them in astonishing detail. Precise health measurements, financial dealings, professional rivalries, and forbidden romances, all meticulously documented. Intimate details recorded in private journals, intended for no one but the writer, have now become some of the most historically significant film relics unearthed in estate sales, museum archives, and neglected safety deposit boxes. These boxes have revolutionized our perception of Hollywood's most celebrated icons, transforming them from simplistic stereotypes into multifaceted individuals. Intricate individuals grappling with fame during a time when appearance held paramount importance and privacy was a rare commodity accessible only to a select few. Let's explore 15 astonishing diary entries from Hollywood's brightest stars, each one unveiling a new layer of their lives. A facet of the meticulously crafted mythology we've held dear for years. As Richard Burton noted, if Elizabeth Taylor's diaries shimmer with gem-encrusted negotiations, while Burton's are steeped in the literary confessions of a Scotch-loving soul, presented in their entirety. Published by Yale University Press in 2012, Burton's extensive 475,000-word account has established itself as one of the most raw and uncensored celebrity accounts ever disclosed, covering themes of alcoholism, intense passions, exceptional talent, and profound emotional experiences. The remnants of their love story are documented in Elizabeth's journal, which reads with the intensity of a captivating novel. A 1966 entry describes their precious treasure. A collection was acquired for $5.5 million. Shortly after, Burton stated, "Regrettably, I am unable to be." He meticulously recorded every point of contention, comparing them to Taylor's 25 documented bouts, each described in vivid detail. One particular clash is then recounted. A record indicated a champagne truce was established at 3:12 a.m. Details about the kisses required to achieve peace were also documented, Burton noted. A fervent data analyst of his own life, he meticulously tracked his weight changes, rugby match results, and even the temperature of. He observes, in a particularly bleak March 1971 entry, psychiatrists noting Scotch optimal slightly above wrist pulse. These pages have been highlighted for their explicit signs of narcissism and addiction, although literary scholars commend them as A unique look at modern Welsh talent in its most primal and powerful form. And for fans, it's an unfiltered account of Hollywood's biggest. A tumultuous love story penned by a man acutely aware of his shortcomings, yet powerless to overcome them. Burton's last entry, dated just in the weeks leading up to his passing in 1984, a note he left behind stated, "The vodka has disappeared." The words, however, endure. It was arguably the most truthful farewell the actor could have penned for his own legacy. 14 Judy Garland for Judy Garland. The stage served as both a refuge and a battleground. When a small, spiral-bound notebook from 1967 unexpectedly appeared in Julian's possession. In 2012, fans anticipating a showcase of showbiz trivia at the auctions were surprised to find a 9-page pharmaceutical guide to endurance. The initial page establishes the mood. A fresh start, another dose administered. The notes, they lack poetic qualities. Instead, they are diagnostic. Senil 12, Roland 6, Dexedrine 8, these were not simply pills, they were alarms, ingrained routines, vital lifelines. Garland documented them methodically, as if they were a carefully choreographed dance. Each pill, a precise moment in time, aligned with on-screen cues, press calls, and instances requiring a natural-looking smile. Her physical discomfort and mental strain were palpable. Exhaustion and financial strain transformed each performance into a testament to sheer willpower. The notebook also holds a tinge of bitterness. A story about a failed attempt to share the screen with his daughter, Liza Minnelli, in a film emerged, with the studio requesting insurance forms. More extensive than my script, she wrote it down her profession had become a burden, nonetheless, even within. Garland's cleverness shines brightly. One audience was deemed exceptional, even Clapton himself key. These moments, sometimes poignant and sorrowful. Documentation supports biographer Gerald Clark's assertion that Garland only slept for 4 hours each day out of a possible 24 and lived. During its auction preview, the notebook's value skyrocketed, with bids exceeding $30,000, establishing a price point of approximately $3,300 per handwritten line. The journal held more than just sentimental value. It was a testament to resilience, a diary detailing reliance, and a final aria expressed not through melody, but through meticulous markings. 13 Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh's captivating screen presence, showcased in iconic roles such as Scarlett O'Hara and Blanche DuBois, left an enduring legacy. Carefully measured within margins, her vast archive was acquired by the Victoria and Albert Museum in 2013. Revealed a wealth of 7,500 personal belongings, encompassing letters, photographs, and most significantly, journals. Spanning from her adolescence right up to the days leading to her passing in 1967, a compelling picture of a woman emerged. Her quest for stability amidst a world growing ever more chaotic is chronicled in her journals, which detail 22 manic episodes in 5. She frequently employed veiled symbols to document her emotional state, a pattern subsequently validated by medical documentation as indicative of major depressive episodes. In line with what is currently understood as bipolar disorder, during the difficult production of Elephant Walk, Leigh wrote the unsettling line, "Saw tigers today and tigers inside," led to her being substituted by Elizabeth Taylor for reasons that remain unclear. Another telling aspect of her personality was her obsession with measurements. She meticulously rated each opening. They assessed the intensity of applause during evening performances on a scale of 1 to 10 and even analyzed the acoustics of various theaters. Her financial dealings were equally stringent. A war bond record indicates she purchased approximately 54,220s personally. Today, 2.4 million individuals are receiving support through monthly dividends, stipends, and charitable donations. A 1949 note analyzing Olivier's acting in Hamlet states, Hamlet's kiss was 68% stage presence and 32% my own. Her personal, intimate calculations obscured the boundaries between acting and genuine feeling, revealing the extent to which her true self was on display. Engulfed by the roles others assigned her, Vivian Lee's voice grew increasingly formulaic as the audience's cheers intensified. Analytically detached, as if data held the key to shielding her from emotional devastation, there was a woman beneath the shimmering facade of an Oscar winner. Assessing her mental well-being through the thunderous applause of a standing ovation, Ingrid Bergman stated, A diary keeps an actress truthful. The actress quips, though she retaliates by deceiving her diary. Her statement was partially humorous, yet the 7,000 pages held at the Swedish Film Institute in Stockholm, the materials indicate she possessed a clear understanding of her actions. In 2015, the documentary Ingmar Bergman, in his own words, utilized this archive to unveil a woman who candidly documented her personal experiences. Her childhood writings, as evidenced by a declaration made at age 12, reveal a resolute determination. I will be. By the age of 30, she had already achieved fame, having appeared in such classics as Casablanca, Gaslight, and Spellbound. However, in 1947, her journal's tone underwent a stark transformation. A concealed letter intended for Italian director Roberto Rossellini, though never sent, served as a pivotal point. Protected and sealed, the words declared, I yearn to create films and raise children alongside you. A subsequent page transformed into a chronicle of chemotherapy treatments, blood cell counts, radiation treatment plans, all meticulously documented with delicate, hand-drawn illustrations labeled for bravery. Historians consider these writings as the work of a masterful strategist. Bergman wasn't merely weathering the scandal, she was orchestrating it. The diaries reveal a woman more focused on leaving a lasting impact than seeking fame. Her writings go beyond simply documenting events. She carefully measured, weighed, and confirmed its total, arriving at 11. Rock Hudson. The world discovered for the first time that Rock Hudson was battling a terminal illness. In July 1985, the revelation of his AIDS diagnosis sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the American public. His personal life in Paris. A cache of 56 handwritten pages, secretly brought back by a nurse following his collapse at the Ritz, provides insight into a journal that Hudson had possessed the truth for a considerable time, diligently documenting his deteriorating condition. A chilling beginning. The entry starts with a clinical, detached tone. TC cell count at 17, weight 143. The sheer weight of shame is immeasurable. These weren't light-hearted jottings. Instead, the journal provides a thorough documentation of clinical manifestations, such as pre-hospital medication protocols and responses to investigational ACT therapies, and the emotional burden of concealing his ailment, going so far as to construct a chart contrasting studio insurance settlements too. The threat of career ruin loomed if he exposed the truth, a grim assessment only someone deeply embedded in Hollywood could fathom. Margin notes whispered the story. Doris Day's voice, as heard in volumes of calls, will crack when referencing her long time. A faded page reveals a clandestine 1963 encounter between a close friend and acting partner and Ronald Reagan at a charitable event. Ron. He wore a smile as if unaware of Hudson's suggestion, implying the ex-actor and ex-politician had subtly withdrawn. Amidst the whispers surrounding Hudson's private life, James Dean's name emerged. His death at the young age of 24 solidified his status as a legendary rebel figure. However, in 2023, the estate auction shifted that perspective, revealing a deeply insecure and vulnerable young man grappling with the burden of. A myth surrounding him emerged from among 500 personal items found in the estate of his agent, Jane D.C. A 60-page manuscript penned by hand, which fundamentally reshaped Dean's legacy. The most haunting image is a rough pencil drawing of his Porsche 550 Spider, the very car that would ultimately claim his life. Beneath the inscription "Speed is only borrowed," Dean diligently maintained a list within his journal entitled "Fears I Pretend Are." By August 1955, a total of 92 incidents had been recorded, instilling widespread fear. These fears encompassed. He also kept a ruthless record of every position he was denied, documenting instances of abandonment, exposure, and irrelevance. He jotted down a response column for each item. Here, to eternity, picnic the silver chalice. I'll demonstrate, he thought, showing them that list. His filmography expanded, surpassing the number of rejections he received. Film historians observe his penchant for measuring and quantifying all aspects of his work, noting his meticulous recording of RPMs. Regarding his motorcycle, cigarette brand choices, daily consumption, and even categorized fan mail, Musk Gardenia. One surprising and previously undisclosed disclosure is a first-hand account of a 1954 meeting between an individual and a studio executive. He'd exchanged it, as he claimed, for a Buick and a pledge. This one statement demolished the picture of Dean as a man who had risen from nothing, exposing instead a young performer grappling with the same power dynamics that influenced countless careers in the mid-20th century. In a letter intended for choreographer Jack Simmons, but never sent, Dean admitted, the mask becomes more firmly fixed after. Each signature was meticulously preserved within the diary, which was subsequently auctioned for $850,000, solidifying its status as one of the most. Instead of celebrating rebellion, Dean's writings reveal a young man's vulnerabilities. Anticipating his future impact while already struggling with the exorbitant cost of fame, even before fully settling the bill, 9 Rita. Known as the love goddess, Rita Hayworth's later years were tragically characterized by a gradual decline, not into shifting from irrelevance to oblivion in the year 2018, during the process of cataloging items slated for auction. Archivists unearthed a slender, leather-bound journal concealed within a concealed compartment of a vintage makeup case. The journal's contents. A 23-year-long, self-documented journey has left both historians and neurologists astonished. Worth's own handwritten notes on the subject of cognitive decline, dating from 1948 to 1971, offer a glimpse into her early thoughts and observations. She's feeling cheerful, but her memory is a bit foggy today. She can't quite recall the name of that columnist she was just thinking about. Must be the scotch, she thinks, as she makes a mental note of her memory lapse. If documenting wardrobe mishaps, though by the beginning of the 1960s, entries began to follow a specific format, requiring the recollection of a home address, 47. One document's words, lost mid-sentence, consumed another 14 seconds of her reading time. She conducted memory tests on herself, posing and responding to questions such as, "What was my first husband's middle name?" Worth tracked her progress, noting her accuracy and speed, and also maintained what she referred to as her vanity metrics 31 body. Weekly measurements were recorded, accompanied by annotations such as waist plus 0.4 centimeters disaster. A 1968 record details the strain of filming a long-lost dance, evident in the dancer's thighs. During rehearsal, the choreography mishap was attributed to Jin, not her. The blame fell solely on Jin for the final outcome. A concise entry for 1976 simply states Rita Worth, forgotten by Rita Worth, 100%. Yasmin Aiken, the daughter of the individual in question, later disclosed that the journal proved instrumental in enabling doctors to recognize the early signs of Alzheimer's disease, which had been mistakenly diagnosed as alcoholism for years. Now the Rita Worth Galla's fund dedicated to Alzheimer's research has raised exceeding $80 million. Worth's legacy extends far beyond mere financial worth. He established a record few could have anticipated, leaving an indelible mark on 8 Montgomery Clift. The legend of Montgomery Clift has always been dominated by tales of his captivating performances and the tragic car accident that occurred in 1956, which transformed both his appearance and his destiny. However, in 2021, when his property was made public, a long, sealed box, labeled merely logs, held a surprise for researchers. It wasn't filled with wistful poetry or contemplative musings. Instead, it contained a meticulously curated archive, assembled by Cliff himself, documenting the physical and emotional deterioration, reflecting the rigor of wartime discipline. Each entry starts with a timestamp and then provides a thorough pain evaluation. Left eye mobility is recorded as 38% of pain intensity registered 8.4 at lunchtime, escalating to 9.2 by evening. This wasn't a sporadic occurrence. The records contained frequent, and at times hourly, observations. Diagrams depicting nerve damage and sketches of his own creations were also included within the pages. A profile marked with notes indicating tightening skin with a noticeable cheek droop. Even more distressing was the portion labeled Rolls Lost, with 14 entries missing, each representing a significant loss. Studio productions, such as On the Waterfront, a film that ultimately earned Brando an Academy Award, with Cliff's commentary noted beside it. Face rejected, offer withdrawn, not bankable, he determined, calculating his financial losses. After the rejections, the total amount lost amounted to $722,800 in discarded bets. Today, his expenditures exceeded $6 million. Furthermore, he meticulously documented his substance use, employing a precise mathematical approach. Every pill or alcoholic beverage was recorded. Experienced a column measuring milligrams, focusing on the timing and impact of pain, sleep, and social interactions. In December, a combination of bourbon and scotch at 3:12 p.m. The initial taste brings a sense of improvement, equating to a feeling of well-being. However, the feeling of being human remains uncertain. Measured with agonizing accuracy, 7 Greater Garbo's entries in any diary have rarely evoked such archival. Heartburn, like Garbo's unspoken confession, is a shared darkness between Mercedes and me, something no lens can ever truly capture. As the Rosenbach. In 2000, a Philadelphia museum made public 87 of Garbo's private letters, revealing a portrait of reclusiveness, aimed at playwright and poet Mercedes Diaz, exploring the enigmatic aura of Hollywood's most secretive figure. A star shattered, revealing 181 secret, coded pet names hidden within its fragments. Numerous entries required interpretation by comparing Garbo's annotations with D'Aosta's memoirs. The collection held 43 meticulously kept train ticket stubs, documenting journeys between bustling New York City and tranquil retreats, along with accompanying receipts. Despite long-standing rumors circulating in Hollywood, the romance was confirmed through 46 hotel bookings made under assumed names. The emotional and practical details within these letters provided scholars with the strongest evidence available for confirmation. But Garbo's persona extended beyond being a private romantic. She was an obsessive collector of information. Her notebooks, discovered alongside the letters, contained detailed charts outlining her weight and blood pressure readings taken throughout the lengthy production day, and even peculiar details such as the number of attendees at the initial screening. A revealing 1933 record documented her cumulative studio penalties, the equivalent of $15,300 in today's money, was the compensation for declining promotional interviews and public engagements. Silence is more economical than legal representation, she wrote, emphasizing the phrase with double underlines. MGM, reportedly embarrassed and worried, reacted accordingly. A substantial sum was proposed to prevent the release of the letters, but the museum declined the offer. 6. Betty Davis B. Davis never shied away from candor, both on screen and in writing. Sue auctioned off her possessions in 2023. Individualized, annotated shooting scripts and a trove of diary entries showcased a mind so astute it could cut through glass. The disclosures, a running tally of her infamous rivalry with Joan Crawford, were noted in the margins of whatever. Baby Jane Davis's story took an unexpected turn when a single Crawford 0 appeared, written in clear script, next to her name. In an early rehearsal note, she documented Joan's use of ankle weights, a detail later corroborated by studio recordings. Her assertion that Crawford had put on weight prior to scenes necessitating Davis to pull her across the set, a trivial but Davis meticulously recorded 27 instances of this nature, but a particularly striking statement emerged on May 10th. In 1977, the day Crawford's life ended, Davis penned a simple yet poignant message on a pristine page. The scoreboard breaks. Final tally. That statement comes from the same woman who previously declared, "You should never speak ill of the deceased. Only good things should be said." The passing of Joan Crawford was confirmed. Good Sue estimated the collection's worth at $1.7 million, and it. Davis's diary has sparked numerous scholarly studies exploring the dynamics of female power in mid-century Hollywood, and it is more than just a chronicle of competition. It's a fusion of a battle strategy, a medical report, and a financial ledger all in one. Each underline and a margin note exposes a mind desperately striving for composure within a town constructed upon manipulated illusions, a setting reminiscent of 5 Joan Crawford. On a scorching June afternoon in 2024, researchers working within the Margaret Herrick Library carefully severed the string attached to a worn composition notebook, its cover scarred and the writing inside fading, bore the inscription, "JC My Eyes Only," followed by. A media frenzy erupted as the book's contents revealed a raw, obsessive, and frequently unkind chronicle of Joan. Crawford's personal life stood in stark contrast to the carefully crafted public image of a devoted mother and graceful screen presence. The notebook was filled with countless pages of meticulously recorded daily box office earnings, penned in red ink alongside calorie counts for each, decimal points, and highly subjective rankings of actresses, particularly Davis's, where she famously addressed wrinkles, penned by Stanwyck. Crawford's contempt for her peers extended beyond a simple need for improvement, evidenced by the fact that 5 out of 10 required lessons in managing their anger. She remained vigilant, noting what she considered to be betrayals from within the industry, jotting down names accompanied by short descriptions. Details like sharing confidential information with columnists and overindulging in laughter at Bet's humor, all spanning 17 pages dedicated to a hidden truth. The scandal involved an affair with a 19-year-old actress while filming Mildred Pierce. The evidence included recorded Polaroids, and below them were found wire transfer receipts, indicating payments seemingly intended to conceal the affair. Additionally, scattered among the pages, it was a meticulously crafted press release intended for her own funeral, down to the smallest details, including stage directions and lighting specifications. And the concluding quote she yearned for was, "She died as always, illuminated from the left," as People magazine disclosed, with over 12 million views. Within 2 days of the Diaries' public release, film historians viewed the event not as a criticism, but rather as a more profound understanding of an obsessively, an image-conscious woman who prioritized relevance above all else. Crawford's personal writings revealed a woman who was not merely acting a role while simultaneously orchestrating the entire scene, even during her most challenging times for Marilyn. Marilyn Monroe's enduring allure continues to resonate in popular culture, but it's the fleeting thoughts that truly capture her essence. Her posthumously published private journals, which offer profound insights, date back to the 2010s. This collection assembles 169 diary entries and fragmented pieces of hotel correspondence. Behind the peroxide-enhanced facade that defined Monroe's public image, Stationery unveiled the true depths of her inner world. Caught between artistic aspirations, mental torment, and crippling loneliness, a hurried note was scribbled on Waldorf Astoria. A hotel document notes, 32 press photographers gathered outside at 6:17 a.m., displaying smiles. In another instance, the instructions involve a sedative dosage of 1.5 tablets administered 3 times daily, subsequently accompanied by a hand-drawn. Monroe's writing would frequently become shaky and illegible during times of intense emotional upheaval, as if her heart had shattered in two. Later, graphologists linked this trend to her growing reliance on barbiturates and her unstable therapy sessions. The most disturbing findings were 9 unsigned letters. One urgently begged Joe Diageo to please return me home. One cautioned President John F. Kennedy, stating that history would view him with pity if he broke his promises. However, the most chilling warning was written as a personal note. It read, "Keep the light on. Monsters hate light." Forensic examination of her last entry revealed, "Fear is a." The piece, titled "Room Without Doors," was penned within a time frame of less than 36 hours leading up to her passing in August. In addition to the psychological distress, the diaries also featured scathing social commentary. In a particular entry, she points out that Robert Mitchum earned $175,000 for his role in the film River of No Return. She had made $100,000, and beside it, she jotted down a well-known phrase, "Smile anyway." Both biographers and feminist historians found confirmation in the journals that Monroe had received a diagnosis of psychic emotional fluctuations, a condition now classified as part of the bipolar spectrum disorder. Her writings provide not a glimpse into the pain of these sex symbols, yet her profound self-awareness shines through. "I know I am merely a fabrication to them," she wrote, "but I have to." The world craved escapism, and Marilyn delivered it in spades. But behind the dazzling facade was Norma Jean, the real woman. She diligently penned her own version of reality, her focus unwavering, with 3 Charlie Chaplins embodying the essence of slapstick humor behind her. A man of remarkable intellect held the belief that comedy could be precisely determined. In 2019, the VAV Museum in Switzerland recently made public a long-preserved trove of Charlie Chaplin's personal journals and ledgers, spanning from 1915 to 1977. Researchers discovered notebooks containing a wealth of information, intricate equations, meticulously recorded stopwatch times, and detailed diagrams of laughter itself, rather than humorous anecdotes. Chaplin meticulously documented every sketch and scene in The Kid or The Immigrant, analyzing and recording the moments that elicited laughter with the precision of an engineer. He fine-tuned the pacing of the film, modifying frame rates, pauses, and shot durations based on audience reactions observed during test screenings. Observed breathing patterns of theatergoers in silent film screenings, captured in one instance as a synchronized collective inhale before. Chaplin's meticulous notes, extending beyond the realm of comedy, expose a profound political undercurrent in pratfall's synchronized routines. He kept a list of individuals he suspected of being informants, labeling them as probable 14. Subsequent FBI records verified that 11 individuals identified as genuine government agents operating within Hollywood's liberal circles. Among the most astonishing were meticulous records of meetings with alleged communist sympathizers, including language concerning funding sources and message dissemination was coded, although Chaplin consistently denied any communist affiliations in public. His private writings indicate a strong engagement with leftist politics, revealing him to be more than just a supporter, but rather a deeply involved participant. Possibly acting as a direct participant, Chaplin penned a final entry in 1977, just prior to his passing, titled Total Laughter. Roughly 1.89 trillion seconds have been produced, which equates to 60,000 years of happiness if. The Chaplin's journal confirms what many doubted. The ruler of physical comedy was also a master of its subtleties. Even his most ardent detractors underestimated the extent of his political involvement, revealing a depth of commitment that shocked even those who closely observed him. Each slip on a banana peel was deliberate, not a result of randomness, but of calculated precision, perhaps a step toward a revolution that ultimately failed to materialize. Too iconic Cary Grant, the epitome of sophisticated masculinity and effortless on-screen coolness, left behind not. Countless pages, yet hours of unfiltered, exposed recordings captured over more than a century of LSD experiences. Psychotherapy sessions with assistants, held from 1958 to 1961. In January 2024, the previously confidential transcripts of a 17-hour LSD session were made public. The Janssen Clinic's archives unveiled Grant's voice, strained and trembling as it broke through the barriers of suppressed self-reflection and introspection. Psychoactive release. I am the embodiment of my own studio's promotion. Observe me as I dissolve. In their initial meeting, Grant delves into the traumas stemming from his father's abandonment during his childhood. The fact that his mother was institutionalized, a situation he believed was due to her death until he reached adulthood, and the resulting lifelong struggle with a fragmented sense of self. In a sudden, mind-bending realization, he pinpointed 16 internal personalities, ranging from a dancer to a tailor to a forlorn child, and then lightheartedly includes, I let the self-assured one arrange a dinner date with Diane Cannon. His financial records for the appointments were meticulous, showing a consistent $150 charge per visit, accumulating to a Swiss. An account subtly designated as self-reconstruction accumulated over time, spanning several years. $15,000, equivalent to over $150,000 in current currency, didn't tell the whole story. His true narrative wasn't captured in tears and chuckles. It was captured through sobs and breaths, whispered into a microphone fastened to his chest, deserving of honorable recognition. Maureen O'Hara, the vibrant redhead celebrated as the Technicolor Queen, meticulously documented. Documents from Hollywood's casting couch culture reveal not only who initiated inappropriate advances, but also the professional consequences faced by those involved. The repercussions of her refusal were laid bare in personal letters and diary entries uncovered in 2016. The biography provides a detailed account of how O'Hara faced a prolonged blacklist due to her refusal to succumb to the sexual advances of a prominent producer. In 1945, a note simply stated, rejected Jay's proposal once more. Lost Canyon Passage is a no-go this morning. The connection was clear. She meticulously tallied 14 roles she felt were withheld from her because of rejected salary negotiations. The projected losses, exceeding $1.2 million in earnings, were highlighted when O'Hara gave his testimony. During a 1957 congressional inquiry into industry practices, she presented pages from her diaries as supporting documentation, although the committee he declined to include these names in the official documentation. The journal additionally held 34 names of actresses who had shared analogous experiences to O'Hara's, resulting in the first known documented system of women mutually supporting one another. Amidst Gable's belongings, discovered in 2018, was a military service diary that shed light on his experiences with the exploitative practices of the studio system. It was discovered that the Hollywood icon had consciously pursued hazardous combat assignments after the passing of Carole Lombard. During World War II, the military diligently crafted a public persona for him, aiming to shield the star from any negative publicity. Personal accounts offer a contrasting perspective. A third request for combat duty has been rejected once more. What they desire are newsreels, not. In his June 1943 obituaries, Gable meticulously documented the number of combat flights he had successfully completed. To participate in 5 bombing raids over Germany, each with recorded casualty figures in the side notes. 1 entry states return. The current goal is a 76% success rate, considered acceptable odds. Military experts now hold the view that Gable was desperately searching for a way to end his life, as evidenced by a note that stated, "If I die a hero, at least the narrative will culminate in a satisfying conclusion." The diary offers a completely new perspective on his wartime experiences, shifting them from a narrative of patriotic heroism to assistance to a man consumed by grief in his pursuit of either atonement or liberation. Travel journals and financial documents unearthed during a 2019 estate auction belonging to the legendary swashbuckling star Errol Flynn revealed a sequence of meetings with Nazi leaders during the late 1930s, which have remained a mystery to historians to this day, involving Flynn who, though scrutinized for potential Nazi sympathies during World War II, without ever facing formal charges, it seems he diligently kept comprehensive records of. A record from 1938 indicates a Berlin meeting with propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, stating despite having impressive film knowledge, those offered contracts declined them, citing pre-existing commitments to Warner. The enigmatic nature of these records, detailed in Appendix C, has prompted some historians to speculate that Flynn has been focused on intelligence gathering rather than expressing compassion, possibly with an eye toward British interests. He recorded transferring. Prior to the outbreak of war, German banks provided a sum of 27,000 Reichsmarks. Initiated with veiled allusions to insurance for London acquaintances, the diary has been revived. The question of Flynn's actual actions during this time is fiercely debated, challenging the claims made by those who allege he held Nazi sympathies, and individuals who completely disregarded the accusations, such as Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor's Blue Room, renowned among her closest collaborators, was a secluded sanctuary within her bare mansion, likened to a vault. It was rumored to contain her most cherished possessions, jewelry, love letters, scripts, and, as discovered following her death in 2011. In 2022, biographer Kate Anderson delved into a trove of over 7,000 pages of personal diary writings. Brower received unparalleled access. Her discovery wasn't the reflections of a prima donna, but rather the ongoing diary of a woman who meticulously documented a life lived under constant public scrutiny and enduring personal suffering. The inaugural entry from Cleopatra's The chaotic film shoot is facing a troubled start with a budget of $2 million, a figure that already suggests potential disaster. By the time filming wrapped, Taylor had meticulously documented every significant budget overspend, revealing how the final price tag soared to $44 million. A truly remarkable sum for that era. In the margins of her notes, she sketched designs of the Cartier diamond, even before it was hers. Bearing the caption, "Someday, she would receive the world-famous gem Richard Burton would later gift her." The volumes encompassed her eight. With remarkable accuracy, Richard Burton is mentioned 1,392 times. His last wife, Larry. At just 27 years old, Forensky meticulously documented arguments, reconciliations, and even pieces of jewelry. Assessments alongside emotional ratings, with a perceived intensity of 6 out of 10 on the recovery scale. Krug champagne is synonymous with the finest bubbly. 2 glasses represent her refined taste. Her battle with addiction is also openly revealed, following her 1961 tracheotomy. Taylor. Each Demerol injection was meticulously documented, including timestamps and pain level assessments. A particularly noteworthy entry from 1985 describes her personal fundraising initiatives for AIDS research have secured pledges totaling $47 million. Tracking Sinatra's expenses, her activism wasn't theoretical. She measured her own influence in concrete terms, down to the smallest financial detail. The Diaries. Furthermore, we'll explore the pay disparities in Hollywood by examining a comparison chart that highlights the stark difference between Cleopatra's $1 million salary and Audrey Hepburn's earnings. For My Fair Lady, the price tag was a hefty $750,000. Alongside this, she jokingly adds, "Sorry, Audrey, get a volcano," referencing Taylor's Diaries, penned with a blend of humor, pain, and lucidity, offer a glimpse into her essence, revealing her as more than just a cinematic legend, yet also a savvy negotiator, a self-aware individual struggling with addiction, and a dedicated philanthropist who understood the extent of her influence and the cost it demanded as the 1966 installment after her second Academy Award. So, in essence, victory hinges on effectively utilizing the value gained through strategic leverage. What are our conclusions then? These once concealed pages, these diaries, held truths that resonated more powerfully than any news story ever proclaimed. Beyond the facade of glamour, the shot captured a compendium of fears, passions, addictions, and desires, all etched in secrecy, and were never destined for the limelight. Yet, here they are, granting us a last performance, not in front of camera, but amidst. What's most remarkable isn't solely the scandalous details or disturbing revelations. It's the almost obsessive. These weren't merely expressions of feeling. They constituted organized financial records, detailing balances systematically. Medical records and strategic blueprints the celebrities we admired weren't merely. They were scrutinizing these remarkable lives, dissecting them, attempting to comprehend experiences that eluded the grasp of most. In the pre-smartphone, pre-social media era, they constructed their own personal information repositories. Life's metrics differed. Garbo meticulously recorded her successes in evading the spotlight, while Crawford diligently cataloged her competitors. Chaplin's comedic timing was precise, calculated to the smallest fraction of a second. Yet, the driving force behind his humor remained constant in a world that was so. A lot of fabricated information was being disseminated for public use. They craved something genuine, something measurable, even if that meant. Their own downfall was reflected in these journals, making them some of the most significant relics in cinematic history. Not just for the juicy tidbits they hold, but for the way they make these larger-than-life figures feel real. They serve as a reminder that behind every meticulously illuminated close-up depicted someone jotting down notes, calculating expenses, and weighing the implications. To hold on to power within an industry built to strip it away. If these tales have shown us anything, it's that recognition might diminish, but history endures. Which revelation surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy Hollywood's attempts to conceal certain narratives won't be forgotten. Remember to like, subscribe, and activate notifications for more unearthed histories. Emerging from the era of classic Hollywood cinema,